Hey guys, Wet Movie 1 back here again for another video for you guys today, and in this one I'm going to be doing my top 10 worst movies that I personally seen in the theaters in 2019. I know a lot of you guys kept messaging me, Brendan, are you going to do a best and worst of video this year? And in a live show or two I said no, I'm not really going to do it, but people keep asking me, so I'm just like, you know what? I'll make a top 10 worst movies of 2019 list right here. And if this video, does well, if it gets like 5,000 views or more, I'll do a best of 2019 of my favorite films. But if you guys are watching this video right now and you support my channel and want to see a best of 2019 movie video, give this video a thumbs up. Let's see if we can get this video up to 500 thumbs up by smacking that like button right there. Also subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. But I've made up a little list right here of my worst movies that I've seen in the theaters this year. I'm going to give a dishonorable mention right now, because this movie is not really a technically bad movie by any means. It's like actually a really good looking movie with really good actors in it. But it was a movie that, let me tell you what it is. A dishonorable mention is Ad Astra. Okay, like I know people are going to be saying, Brendan, what the hell is wrong with you? Brad Pitt's amazing. The direction of this movie was dope. It looked amazing. Looked great. Yes, but I walked out of the movie. I walked out of this movie. It was one of those movies that just kind of like put me to sleep. Like I'm watching it, going, oh Jesus Christ! It's one of, like just like the slow pace of it kind of is like really. I couldn't get into it, you know what I mean? But it's not a horrible movie. It's definitely, these other movies on this list are definitely a lot worse, than Ad Astra. But it's just one of those movies, like I was watching 3 movies one day at the theater, and that happened to be the last one of the day, and I'm just like, oh shit, okay, alright, I probably should have saved that one to the first, But I only have one dishonorable mention here, but let's get on to my top 10 worst movies that I've seen in at the movie theaters this year. Number 10 on my list is a movie that I just recently seen in the theater, and it was called Black Christmas. I went to go see it. I was like one of like 2 people in the theater, and I know their original film that came out in like the 70s, and then they also remade Black Christmas again in like the early 2000s or whatever it was, and now this is like another retelling of that, or like reimagining of that. But I just really didn't like this movie. I went into it thinking it would be a semi-fun horror film, because I believe it was put out by Blumhouse, and like it was just like not scary at all. You kind of don't even give a shit about the characters, in this movie. And this movie has like a real big, which I don't have a real big problem with, but has like a real big Me Too movement kind of vibe going on in it. I'm just like, what am I watching here? Am I watching a Me Too movie, or am I watching a horror movie? Like it just didn't blend well. It just really wasn't working for me. And the next up right here at number 9 is The Curse of Llorona. I'm probably saying the name wrong. The Curse of Llorona. It's just one of those movies I was kind of excited to see, because one, I love Linda Cardellini. She was the one that played the mother in the film, who was also in Freaks and Geeks and things. And it was just really like underwhelming. Like there was really no scares. They had a couple of like jump scares. I'm just like, okay, this is not really working. You know what I mean? Like I thought this movie could have been really good. You know what I mean? From like the story of like, the lady that drowned her kids and stuff, and is coming, haunts people. I don't know. I kind of like that premise, and I've always heard about it growing up and stuff, but it just wasn't executed very well, and I thought it was crap. And number 8 on my list right now is 47 Meters Uncaged, or 47 Meters Down Uncaged, the sequel to 47 Meters Down. This one I went to go see because I like shark movies, and you know me, I like stupid kind of movies. And this one just didn't really do it for me. You know what I mean? Even the original 47 Meters Down, or in the Deep, as the original film was called, with Mandy Moore. Both those films, 47 Meters Down and this new one, both just really seem like kind of straight to DVD, kind of titles, and they're just kind of dumping them in the theaters and trying to make a franchise out of it. You know what I mean? I'm just like, okay, this is no Jaws. There's no like real big, character arcs or anything like that, and they have like dumbass blind sharks coming at you. Okay, whatever, dude. But it was just kind of piss poor, in my opinion. I didn't really care for that one whatsoever. But number 7 on my list is a movie that I don't think a lot of people have heard about or really talked about that much. And it's a movie that I don't even know if it really went to theaters, but I know it came to, I saw it on Blu-ray this year, and it was called The Haunting of Sharon Tate. It's a movie that's, based on the Manson family, killing Sharon Tate and her friends and stuff. And it was just like, I don't know. It was just one of those movies. It just felt wrong when I was watching it. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It's just like it felt like the filmmakers of this movie were just kind of, just making a movie to capitalize on the killings of these poor people, and stuff, and also trying to oh, I think Quentin Tarantino's making a movie about this. I want to come out with my movie first, kind of thing. And it just felt like a rushed kind of mess, and I didn't really care for it. Hilary Duff is cool. I believe she was a star of the film from what I remember. Only watched it once and kind of don't ever want to watch it again. And the next one on my list is Addams Family. Yes, the Addams Family. The second film that I saw in theaters this year that I walked out of. The first one being the one I talked about earlier, Ad Astra. And this one I walked out of because I was just like, I know it's a kid's movie, but man, it was just, to me, really bland. You know what I mean? Because I grew up watching the ones, watching the Christina Ricci ones, from the 90s and stuff like that with her playing Wednesday Addams. And, yeah, it's okay. I can see why kids would like it, but my dumbass, I was just like, and I just walked out. I'm glad I don't pay for my tickets. When I go to the movies, because I have the AMC A-list stuff, so I can go watch whatever I want, whenever I want, kind of thing, for $20 a month. But I was just like, oh, okay, all right, I'm out of here. It just felt way too kiddish, in my opinion, and I was just kind of like, all right, I'm over it, and I just had to put that one on my list because if I walked out of it, I want to put it on my list. Next up on my list, the new Charlie's Angels movie that Elizabeth Banks, I guess, wrote, directed, and produced and things. I was kind of hoping it was going to be good. From some of the trailers I saw were kind of cringy, but I was kind of hoping for the best because the ones that came out with Lucy Liu and Drew Barrymore and stuff were kind of fun. Just fun, stupid popcorn kind of movie. I was kind of expecting something like that again. But nope, this one was just straight, bland, boring, and I don't know, man. I don't really know what audience this was who they were trying to go for here. Were they trying to go for the Twilight fans or something like that of Kristen Stewart? I don't know what they were trying to do here, but it was just really lackluster and boring. The villain was horrible, and I don't see myself ever needing to watch that one again. Is The Lion King. The Lion King new live, action, whatever. I know it's all animated anyway, but I went to go see this one, kind of anticipating it a little because I always love the animated film from back in the 90s and yeah, bump banana, squash banana, all that shit. But this one just oh my god, it was just a shot for shot remake of the animated film, and it just felt really boring. There was just nothing to it that made me connect with anything going on in it. I mean, it looked beautiful, okay, everything about the movie looked great. Just the storytelling behind it was ass. And when it came out on Blu-ray, I was just like, I'll pass. I was even offered a free screener of it to get on Blu-ray or 4K. I'm like, nah, I'll pass. I'm good. I don't need to see this piece of shit again. But that's the one on my list right here I just had to put on. I was one of those ones, I was like, am I going to walk out of this one? I'm sitting there in the theater in the AMC in the nice little, recliner seats and shit. I feel like I want to walk out of this, but I'm too lazy to get up. Fuck it, I guess I'll just watch the rest of this. But next up on my list right here is Jumanji: The Next Level. I kind of really liked Jumanji 2, the remake of Jumanji. I thought that was kind of a fun little premise. But now, with the Jumanji: The Next Level, I think they thought they just had a big hit on their hands, going into this, because that one really, the last one with The Rock and you know, Kevin Hart really took off and really did really well and had good word of mouth and everything. And it was fine. I enjoyed that one for what it was. Nothing beats the Robin Williams one from the 90s, in my opinion. That's just, you know, a classic, even though when you watch it now, like, the special effects are not, of course, as up to date, and especially like on Blu-ray or 4K or whatever, it looks kind of funky. But still, I still love the original Robin Williams one. But this new one, it's not horrible, it just doesn't feel like they were trying or really trying to add anything new to it. You know what I mean? It's cool to see Danny Glover in there and, of course, you know, Danny DeVito and shit. But it was just, like, it just felt really bland and it's like, okay, here's a bunch of the same, here you go. Here's a bunch of the same old shit. I'm like, okay, fuck it then. Is Cats. Just recently saw this one in theaters. I'm a big musical guy. Grew up in the theater, you know, with my mom and dad being in plays, and I did a couple of plays when I was a kid, and loved musical theater. Like, even some of my favorite musicals came out in the early 2000s, like, you know, Rent. You know, I believe, of course, it was a play first, but it came out in, you know, film form in the 2000s, along with the movie Hairspray, which, of course, was adapted from, you know, a John Waters flick and stuff like that. But the musical Hairspray are some of my favorite musicals of recent. So I'm like, okay, I'll watch Cats, like a new telling of this, even though I've never seen the play. I heard a couple of songs from Andrew Lloyd Webber's, like, you know, we have probably like a soundtrack from the play from like years ago. So, like, Memories, and, like, yes, there's some iconic songs in there, but this movie was just really boring. It doesn't translate well at all when it comes to, you know, stage to screen, and I don't see it really connecting with a big audience out there. And I know it's flopping right now at the theaters. Yeah, you have, you know, some big talent in there, you know, acting up a storm, like Idris Elba and, you know, Taylor Swift and all these other people. But, like, that's not really gonna get butts in the seats, dude. Like, you have to have a story that makes some sort of fucking sense. You know what I mean? Yes, the people are complaining about the effects, but the cat effects are not the things that were bugging me about the movie. It was just boring. It was just like a musical number, here's another character, musical number, here's another character, musical number. There's really no story fucking structure of anything that's really going on in this motherfucker. It was just a real sloppy mess. But number one, the worst fucking movie that I seen in 2019, the fucking worst movie I seen in 2019 is a movie that not a lot of people talk about, especially in this, you know, physical media movie community that I'm, you know, of course, I'm a part of here on YouTube. No one's really talked about it. It kind of went to theaters for like a weekend or something like that, sporadically in like certain cities or whatever, and the director or producer of this movie was kind of like doing little pop-ins at theaters along with some of the actors and things, and trying to, like, you know, get buzz on it, because that's the only way they can really, you know, promote the movie, by the actors and or producers of these films popping in at different little screenings around town. And it was only playing at the AMC at Universal City Walk, and I'm like, oh shit, okay, I really liked the first one from the early 90s or early 2000s or whatever it was, but the first one is definitely not a masterpiece by any means, okay? It's a hood comedy movie that I always kind of remember liking, you know what I mean? It had Tiny Zeus Lister in it, it had fucking, John Witherspoon in the original one, and I'm just like, okay, and they're making a sequel to this thing. I want to see it, okay? I want to see it, I want to support it, you know what I mean? Because movies like this don't really get a big push. You know, so I went to go to the theater expecting some fun shit, and I was gonna make like a whole review video out of it and everything like that. I'm like, I'm gonna go on this little adventure, go see this new movie. And the movie I'm talking about right now is I Got the Hookup 2. I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, dude, I got the hookup too, man. Has AJ Johnson back in there along with Master P, going back, back to their roots, being, being those same old characters again. And they had John Witherspoon, and of course they had Tiny Zeus Lister in there again. I'm like, oh shit, and of course they had some other cool new talented comics or comedic actors, involved in this. And I'm like, okay, I want to go and support this, you know what I mean? Because like earlier this past year or whatever it was, I got to meet, you know, Master P and Little Romeo, and they were talking to me, and I was talking to them about this movie that was about to come out. It's, you know, I got to hook up too. So I was getting kind of, you know, hyped up for it and shit. You know what I mean? Because I grew up with the movies like Friday and, you know, like I Got to Hook Up and, you know, all sorts of shit like Fat Beach and Barbecue or Q the Movie with like Brian Hooks. Like I love all these like, you know, hood comedy films, or that's what, you know, places like Hollywood Video back in the day would place them, you know, in certain categories and shit. And I was kind of excited because I haven't seen a movie like this in a long time, especially going into a theater. And I went to this movie going, okay, this is kind of exciting and shit. And I went there, I sat down, and like within like 5-10 minutes of this thing, I was just like, what the fuck am I watching here? What is happening right now? You know, I'm just like, it just felt like a complete and utter rush job, like really messy, really sloppily edited, really sloppily put together, editing wise. The acting is okay for what you know, for a movie like that. So I'm not gonna, you know, harp on that. But it just kind of felt like, okay, here's a real loose script, a real loose idea of what we're gonna be doing with this movie. And guys, since you're comedic actors, make up some shit. Just go, and we'll figure out the editing thing later. You know what I mean? It felt like that, and a lot of different scenes in this movie, they put music in, right? Music underneath it or whatever. But like the music, a lot of the time was overpowering the dialogue, so you couldn't even hear half the jokes that people were trying to throw out there. You know, and it's kind of sad because I believe this is like John Witherspoon's maybe his last movie that he appeared in, you know, before he passed away this year. And like, you know, he can be funny doing anything, okay? He can just be standing there making faces and I'll fucking laugh. But he just kind of felt like, you can see it in his face, like, what the fuck am I doing here? What is this movie? What is happening in this movie right now? You know what I mean? Like, what is this movie about? What am I doing? Fuck it, at least I'm getting paid. You know, kind of look on his face. And I don't know, man. Like, they had Tiny Zeus Lister, you know, Debo from Friday in there. Just really underused. They could have used them a lot more in this movie. It kind of felt like the bigger names that they got in this movie were just kind of there. Like, okay, we have an hour or two. Hurry up, you know, kind of shit. But I know it just. I know it shouldn't be a movie I should like hold on a pedestal or anything like that. But I was just kind of excited to see it because you don't really see movies like that in theaters. You know what I mean? And I wanted to go and support it and shit. And it's sort of the same thing with the Ip Man movies. Like, I just recently saw Ip Man 4 in the theater. And I'm like, fuck, this would be the first time I've seen an Ip Man movie, you know, martial art film like that in a movie theater. I have, you know, of course, all the Ip Man, you know, movies on, like, you know, Blu-ray and shit. And I'm like, fuck, this would be the first time I can see that one in theater. And I did support it and loved it. But, like, that's my top 10 worst list of, 2019, you know, the worst movie of 2019 to me, only because I was really looking forward to it, was I Got the Hook Up 2. And let me know what your top worst 10, you know, your top 10 worst movies that you guys saw this year in the comments down below. And what movies you saw that you said, Brendan, stay away from, don't waste your time, don't go watch it, don't buy it on DVD, don't get it on Blu-ray. Let me know in the comments down below. Also, hit this, you know, thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button if you guys haven't yet. YouTube has been kind of weird and unsubscribing people lately from the channel. Why? I have no idea. But, you know, so hit that subscribe button if you guys want to make sure you guys want to see what my next videos are. And I'll catch you, knuckleheads, next time.